Hello, happy Tuesday to everyone out there. Welcome to another Facebook Live for our coffee and chat. I had some technical difficulties. I think it was the last Facebook Live I did, so I took a pause, but today I'm doing something different. And as you can see, I want to talk about how to avoid financial dehydration. And I've got a few props here because I want to use an analogy to talk about that a little bit. You've heard me say we're midway through the year. We need to take time and do strategic financial planning and look backward for the past 6 months, but also plan forward for the next 6 months. And what I'm going to talk about today can also be used in your personal life. I wanted to really think about nonprofits, the nonprofits I've worked with. What are some of their challenges? And obviously, we're stretched very thin, doing many great things. And sometimes there's very small windows for us to take pause and really think about the financial health of our organization. And you hear the word a lot, sustainability. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today, because I want to see you successful. And there are strategies and ways to make it simple so that you're not always in reactive mode or feeling overwhelmed. So think of it this way. These are going to represent our sustainability as far as revenue, and I'll talk about that. But consider your nonprofit, you're going on a journey. You're out there doing good works in the community, in the world, and whatever your mission is, it's a journey. And sometimes that journey can be enjoyable and peaceful and lovely, and other times it can be challenging and stressful and really stretch you beyond what you think you can handle. And so today I think about sustainability and your financial health, and I've got 4 jars here to represent the revenue of your past 6 months. Okay, so when you prepared your budget, think of each of these jars represent your budgeted revenue that you want to have in 4 different categories. So you thought about for the year, for the first 6 months of this year, let's say this is your individual giving. By June, you want to have this jar full financially. We'll say this is about $80,000 here. And then over here, you've got your corporate contributions, and we'll say this is, a value of about $50,000. So between your individual giving and your corporate contributions, you're going to have $130,000. And then we've got 2 more jars of revenue here. This jar is going to represent your special events. Say you do, it could be like a breakfast for the community or something of that sort. There's so many different events, a gala, whatever it is. $35,000 for your special events. And lastly, your grants, okay? We don't want grants to be the big one necessarily. It's not always sustainable, but less than 45% should be in grants. So here are our grants. We'll say it's $35,000. So if you can see my jars here, your goal was to have $200,000 of revenue. This is an imaginary nonprofit, but say by June, midway through the year, you expect $200,000 of revenue. Now, in order to be sustainable, you need that revenue, and in our case, we're going to represent with water, okay? So if you go back and you think about how much in individual giving did you get? Is your jar full? And we'll just here, it's like I'm doing a science experiment. Let's say you did pretty good here with your individual giving. You're nearly to the top. You're not so much worried about that. But when it comes to your corporate contributions, you didn't quite have enough revenue in. You're falling short. I don't know if you guys can see that. Your revenue is a little over half. Remember, this represents $50,000. So let's say you've got about $30,000 in so far, okay? Then we come over here to your, this is gonna get messy. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I can't tell if anyone's looking. Okay, so this is going to be your special event that you did. Let's say you did it back in April. And so many people came out and supported. Oh my gosh, your special event is overflowing. Good for you, okay? That's awesome. But when it comes to your grant revenue, $35,000, you've only gotten $10,000 in so far. Wait, that's a little too much. $10,000. So if you take the time And think about, again, we're focusing on strategic financial planning this month because we're halfway through the year. We don't want surprises at the end of the year. So if you think about your last 6 months just of revenue, if I did expenses, this whole table would be full of jars. There's so many expenses. But can you see here that you're not quite meeting all of your revenue goals? You need to understand, are you meeting your budget? And if you're not, for example, grants, how is it that, are we going to be sustainable if we don't fill up our grant budget? Perhaps not, but remember, we're a little overflowing here in our special events. So ultimately, you've got to take time, make sure you've got your accurate accounting records for the past 6 months. Very simple strategies. When you know you're low, say in these two categories, grants, corporate contributions, what are you going to do the next 6 months? So at the end of the year, you're not dehydrated. You're not on the brink of burnout or passing out because financially you just didn't hit the mark. Every quarter, at the very least, you want to take time to analyze your actual financial activity against your budgeted financial activity. If your budget, you don't have all that lined up, you can also compare it to how you did last year. Compare this year for the first 6 months to last year of the first 6 months. If there's no drastic changes in your overall operations, they should be pretty comparable and hopefully more in revenue this year than last year. Now, in closing, because again, the title, How to Avoid Financial Dehydration. Once you've taken inventory of not only your revenue, but your expenses, look at the accounts that are low and write a narrative and a plan of how you're going to recover this so you can continue to be sustainable throughout the year. In this case, we'll just say, okay, we had 10,000 of 35,000. However, we received an award letter of 20,000. So we won't quite make it to the top, but we're going to fill up some more once that grant check comes in the next, say, month or two. Okay, corporate contributions. Perhaps your strategy changed for the year and you're not doing your big campaign until August, the end of the summer, when people are off of vacation and they're kind of back in business mode. So perhaps you have a justification for why you're not fully at capacity with your revenue. So again, I just wanted to do a fun demonstration. Just as in life, your nonprofit experience, even your personal finance, it's all a journey. But if you don't take time and really analyze how well you're doing along that journey, at the end of the year, you will be dehydrated or perhaps worse, and you won't be able to go on. So my goal is to help you not get to that point, but give you simple strategy so that you can move forward with ease. Not overwhelm and reacting to everything, but it is simple and intentional. And again, also accurate. You've got to know your numbers. So with that, I'm not going to keep going and going. I just wanted to check in again. I'll be back next week. I do have, because the theme is strategic financial planning, I have some things in the works. If you all have questions or ideas or anything that you want to know more about, you can email me. Send me a Facebook message. I'd be happy to answer you. This is my passion. I love this work. And cheers to you and your nonprofit accounting, even your personal accounting if you're not with a nonprofit, but cheers to you and a successful year.